Alright, this is getting out of hand, but I will say it. What's up, you chickens? It's Tendies here. So this is not a video I'm necessarily excited about making, but I think it's important we talk about it and why I'm suddenly out $2 million. This all began about a week ago, and I met with the other financial YouTuber who has the same lamp as I do, and kind of looks a bit like me if I could grow a beard, and that would be Andre Jick. This started off by us talking about our plans for the rest of the year, and our short-term goals for our money, and what we're both saving up for, and then when I mentioned a sudden $2 million tax bill, he suggested I talk openly about it. Because at the end of the day, this is really one of those topics that could either save you or cost you a lot of money depending on what you do with this information. No joke, what most people don't understand is that the tax code is designed around you being able to use every resource available to you to reduce the amount of money that you owe. But the catch here is that they never actually tell you how to do it. They leave it up to you to figure out on your own, which is where most people fall short. And unless you're willing to pay $750 to $1,000 an hour to consult with a tax attorney who does nothing but read the tax code 24/7, you could potentially miss out on the best ways where you could save a lot of money. Thankfully though, you could learn from all of my $2 million mistakes and receive all of the information that I have paid tens of thousands of dollars for, all for the low cost of just one like on the video. So here's everything you need to know, and I nearly guarantee if you watch this video all the way through, it should at least save you anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s depending on how much money you make. Alright, so first, let's get this out of the way. Why I just spent $2 million and why I had to pay more tax just because I didn't spend enough money last year. Yeah, seriously, you can't make this stuff up, and maybe my excessive frugality finally got the best of me. Hold on, let me put these on so I look more official when I talk about this. There we go, that's better. To start, in the United States, we have three main taxes that we pay into no matter who you are or how much money you make. The most common one is what's called your federal income tax. This ranges anywhere from 10% for those earning under $10,000 a year, all the way up to 37% for anyone making above $518,000 a year. The general rule of thumb when it comes to this is that the more money you make, the higher the tax bracket you fall into, and because of that, the more money you owe. Now, the second tax that pretty much all of us pay into is what's called payroll tax. Now, this is a 7.65% tax on up to the first $142,000 of income that you make. And if you're self-employed, you double those amounts for a total of 15.3% because technically you employ yourself. And finally, third, to top it all off, we have a state income tax. Now this one depends on where you live, but unless you live in one of the 9 states which doesn't have any state income tax, you'll pay something a little extra here too. Now this one is very similar to the federal income tax, where you have different tiers in terms of how much money you owe depending on how much money you make. And yes, I am talking about these tiers. Generally, if you do live in a state that has income tax, you're going to be paying anywhere from 1 to 4% at the very minimum, all the way up to 13.3% at the very maximum if you live in California. This means from everything I just mentioned, you could pay anywhere from 17% at the very minimum to over 50% at the maximum depending on where you live and how much money you make. But here's where things start getting interesting. Like I said, not all income is treated equally. And once you know how this works, you could better use it to your advantage. Okay, now I can take off the glasses. See, according to the IRS, they say our income is separated into 2 different categories. The first one would be earned income, and the second would be passive income. Earned income is absolutely the most common, and that includes the money you make from working a full-time job, or getting paid a salary, or running a business. But unfortunately, that type of income is subject to the highest level of taxation throughout everything I just mentioned, including federal tax, state tax, payroll tax. It all adds up. However, you could also have what's called passive income, and this is the income you make from your investments like the stock market, dividends, rental income, and so on, and that is taxed at a much lower rate. That's because when you make passive income, it's not subject to payroll taxes, so right off the bat, that saves you 7.65%. Plus, if you could hold that investment for longer than a year, that qualifies you for long-term capital gains tax, which is a top tax rate of 20% if you make more than $500,000 a year. Now, even though it might be confusing why the income you don't work for is taxed less, but the income you do work for is taxed more, the reasoning is that the lower tax rate incentivizes you to invest long-term. And the more money that's invested, the more money gets redeployed back into business, and that in turn leads to more economic growth. So now that you understand the separation between earned income and passive income, here's how this applies to me and why I had to pay more than $2 million in taxes. So in terms of my $2 million tax bill for 2020, that was because the majority of my income last year fell into the earned income category, which, like I mentioned, has the highest level of taxation throughout everything. But ultimately, one of the reasons why I ended up owing a lot more money than originally anticipated was because I did not spend enough money. Yeah, seriously, what most people don't realize is that when you run a business, the tax code incentivizes you to spend as much money as possible to reinvest back into the business to help it grow. And that way, in the process, you could legally lower your tax bill. Now, whether or not you agree with that system, it is how it works and how it's set up for people to follow. And the objective here is that by spending money now, you could hopefully build your business to make even more money in the future, at which points you will end up spending more taxes later. And my business of trying to ask you guys to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm doesn't exactly work that way. I could, on the one hand, lease out a large office space and hire a dozen employees. I could buy a dozen 4K cameras and a $50,000 MacBook Pro computer to make these videos, complete with a Mercedes Sprinter van and a Gulfstream jet for travel. And then after all of that, I would owe absolutely no tax. How is that even possible? Well, when you run a business, you're only taxed on the net profit you make after expenses, not the total amount of money that you make. In my case, though, I don't really need that many expenses relative to somebody else going and hiring 50 people and getting a big building with their name on the side of it. Instead, I've reinvested as much money as I could back into the channel, I've hired some help, and I've made some other investments that I believe will help the channel grow. But besides that, and despite every accountant telling me to go and spend more money and buy more things, so far I've only focused on spending money when absolutely necessary, not for the sake of spending money just to lower my tax bill. Now that certainly comes at the expense of paying a lot more tax up front, but without spending money unnecessarily, I could redirect that money into other investments, which over time will increase the amount of money I make in the passive income category, which, like I said, is usually taxed at a much lower rate. But now here's the thing. Business write-offs, like I just mentioned, are really just the tip of the iceberg. And when you really get down to it, there's so many different ways of lowering your tax bill available for anyone to use regardless of how much money you make. And here are just a few examples of what you could begin doing almost immediately. Now, the first one that applies to pretty much anybody is what's called the standard deduction. This is literally a tax write-off that allows you to write off $12,400 off your income if you're single, or $24,800 if you're married, no questions asked. If you're in a 22% tax bracket, that could save you over $2,800 with really just a few minutes of your time. Now, the second option you have is when you itemize your deductions, which means you could write off up to $10,000 worth of state and local taxes, you could write off your mortgage interest, your property taxes, any medical expenses that exceed 7.5% of your income, and so on. Now, if that adds up to more than what you get from the standard deduction, then it makes sense to go and take this one instead. Now, the third option, in addition to that, would be contributing to a 401k. This is a tax-advantaged account that lets you contribute up to $19,500 a year in pre-tax money, meaning for every $1 that you contribute to a 401k, you reduce your taxable income by that very same $1, thereby lowering the amount of tax that you owe. Even better, on top of that, some employers will literally match your 401k contribution dollar for dollar, essentially doubling your money instantaneously with no risk whatsoever. Now, in addition to this, you could also set up what's called a traditional IRA, which allows you to contribute $6,000 a year, and you also might have access to an HSA for another $3,500 a year completely tax-free. If all of those apply to you and you max them out, that could be $29,000 a year as a tax write-off. Now, the fourth one is a major reason to invest in real estate, and that would be a term called depreciation. See, the IRS says if you go and buy a house, it's probably not going to be standing forever. In most cases, eventually it will deteriorate, and eventually it'll need to be replaced. So as a way to compensate you for that, they allow you to write off the value of the property over 27.5 years. For example, if you have a structure worth $275,000, they'll allow you to take $10,000 off as a tax write-off every year for 27.5 years. That means that first $10,000 that you make in profit from that property is completely tax-free. And fifth, probably the simplest one from all of this would be a charitable contribution. I think this one needs no introduction, but if you donate money to a charity, make sure to claim that on your taxes, and that will lower your tax bill accordingly. Now, for entertainment purposes only, when I began speaking with tax attorneys to learn how people manage their income at such high levels, I learned about some options that were, well, rather interesting for business owners, and I thought it would be fun to describe a few of those for you here for entertainment purposes only. The first was by creating what's called a captive insurance company. Now, how this works is a little bit complicated, but to sum things up, some businesses just naturally need more insurance than others. And there's nothing that says that you can't go and start your own insurance company and then charge yourself whatever you want as an insurance premium. Insurance companies can then take that money and invest it long term, at which point after after a few years, if you don't use the insurance, you could cash that out as a long-term capital gain. Now, the downside to this is that it's very expensive to set up, and you're not going to have access to your money for about 3 to 5 years. Oh, and also, how could I forget? The IRS heavily scrutinizes businesses who do this as a way to reduce their taxable income if they don't actually need the insurance. Now, the second is what's known as a conservation easement. This is when you could buy and donate a parcel of land to the government for use of preservation. Now, the thing is, not all land could be donated and not everything qualifies, but if it does, you could be entitled to a rather large tax break. Now, here's where things start getting blurry. There are syndications out there that exist to try to find undervalued land that they could buy at a discount for the sole purpose of then donating it at a much higher value and getting a much bigger tax write-off. For example, imagine spending $100,000 on a piece of land that's actually worth $500,000. In that case, by the time you donate it, you're getting a $5 tax write-off for every $1 that you've spent. As you can see, it's certainly a gray area here, but like I said, I'm just the messenger. The third, a more common approach when it comes to this is what's called a defined benefit plan. This works by taking up to $250,000 of income that you would be making today and instead paying yourself at a defined point in the future, at which point you could be in a lower tax bracket. The downside with doing this, though, is that you end up tying up your money for quite a long time and you risk being in a higher tax bracket in the future than when you just paid your taxes today. Now, fourth, you also have what's called the Section 179 deduction. This is the part of the tax code that says that you could depreciate heavy machinery and business equipment 100% the first year if it weighs more than 6,000 pounds. Well, guess what? A Tesla Model X weighs more than 6,000 pounds. A Rolls-Royce Cullinan weighs more than 6,000 pounds. A Mercedes Sprinter van weighs more than that. A boat weighs more than that. And obviously a Gulfstream jet weighs more than that. So if you buy those for business use, you're able to write off 100% of the cost of what you buy entirely in the first year. And fifth, you have another one that quite a few people use, and that would be what's called a cost segregation analysis. Now, this one is very similar to real estate depreciation, except here you're able to depreciate some aspects of the property 100% the first year instead of waiting to do that over 27.5 years. In this case, when it comes to this, any item of a property that has a lifespan of less than 20 years could be written off 100% the first year you buy it. So for example, let's say you buy a $1 million building for $100,000 down and 30% of that building has a lifespan of less than 20 years. In that case, you're able to get a $300,000 write-off the first year with $100,000 down. And finally, six, almost every business owner already does this, and that's by starting what's called an S corporation. Now, first of all, it might just be a smart idea to incorporate your business for liability reasons, but it also helps save you some money on taxes. That's because with an S corporation, they become your employer and they pay you as the employee even though you own the S corporation. The advantage here is that you could pay yourself a salary and anything else above that is then paid to you as a distribution. And that distribution you get is not subject to payroll tax. That could be a savings of up to 15.3% on all the income you make above your salary. Ultimately though, when it comes to myself, with the exception of real estate depreciation and running a corporation, I decided to pass on all the legally creative ways to reduce my income because honestly, there is no such thing as a free lunch. From my perspective, either you do something legally and morally questionable, you tie up a lot of your income for a long time, you run the risk of an audit, or you do a combination of all three, which I am just not a fan of. Instead, I chose to pay more tax up front just so that I'm able to have more access to my money immediately, and long term I can have more control over where it goes. Now, I want to make it clear that taxes are a necessary part of society, and without our tax dollars, we wouldn't have roads to drive on, police or fire departments to keep us safe, or public services that we could rely on. But it's also just as equally important to understand your options and follow the tax code in the way it was designed to work. In terms of my friend Andre though, let's find out how much he owes, because like I said, this whole video was his idea. So what's the damage?
Ooh, I haven't actually done the taxes yet, but I've calculated it's gonna be probably roughly about $500,000. You know how many biscuits you can buy with that? Don't forget to smash the like button and go check out my channel.
So there you have it, and I just want to end this off by saying this. It's very important.
The IRS is always watching you.
Oh, and also thanks again to Omaze for sponsoring this video. Their information is down below in the description. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to destroy the like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post there pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there as my second channel, The Graham Stephan Show. I post there every single day. I'm not posting here. So if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, make sure to add yourself to that. And lastly, if you want a completely free stock worth all the way up to $50, videos, use the link down below in the description. And Public is going to be giving you a free stock when you deposit $100 on the platform, and I'm going to be posting all of my stock trades on there and what I'm investing in. So if you want to follow that and be a part of it, the link is down below in the description. So thank you guys so much. Let me know which stock you get, and until next time.